Here we have the inside of the 2015 Benimar Mileo 294. If I firstly move to the main control panel, we can turn the 12 volt on by firstly pressing this button here, followed by this button. After that, we then have water pump on and off. We need the water pump on to be able to get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. And then lastly, up the top here, we have awning light on and awning light off. Beneath that, we then have condition of the leisure battery and condition of the vehicle battery. We then have how much water is in the fresh tank. Beneath that, when the waste tank needs emptying, you will get a red light flashing next to this waste tank symbol just here. When the fresh water drops into the last amber, this light will occasionally flash just to let you know you're getting low on water. And if either of the batteries did get dangerously low, again, you'll get flashing indicators. This last button just here just controls the illumination of the control panel. It just works like a dimmer switch. We then have this light on just here, letting us know that we currently have main supply connected to the motorhome, and a light will illuminate here when we start the engine to let you know that the alternator is charging the leisure batteries and the vehicle battery. To view this, both this button and this button do have to be on. Beside the main control panel, we then have the control panel for the Truma heating and hot water system. So to turn it on, firstly just press the button just here. On initial startup, it will display the time and again will let you know if you have main supply connected. If I now press the button just here, you'll see a series of icons, and as I begin to rotate, they will flash. So if we start with the first one just here, this is for your heating. So if I now click on it, heating is off. All I now need to do is just rotate and pick whatever temperature I would like it to be inside the motorhome, and it will go right the way up to 30 degrees. So once you've decided, just click to enter it in, and you'll now see a little flame has appeared above just there. That flame just represents the heating system, and it's just letting you know that you've set a parameter. Whenever the heating is in operation, this flame will begin to flash, and it will continue to flash until it's achieved the temperature you have asked. If I now click again and come off the heating and rotate to the next icon, this one here is for your hot water. And again, if I now click on it, hot water is off. If I rotate, I can heat the hot water to about 40 degrees. And if I rotate again, I can heat it to about 60 degrees. And if I rotate again, we can also perform a boost on the boiler. The boost was mainly designed for if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you want hot water extremely quickly. If I do perform the boost and the heating's running, the heating will turn off as it needs to use that extra power. And again, the icon will continue to flash until it's achieved the temperature you have asked. If we now move to the third icon, this one here is power source. So in this one here, we can pick what power source we want to be using to do heating and hot water. So if I now click on it, we're currently using mains electricity using 2 kilowatts. If I rotate the button, I can lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt on the mains. Very handy if you're in a low amp site to try and avoid tripping. If I rotate again, we can run in dual fuel if we have both gas and main supply available to us. So a mixture of gas and mains at 2 kilowatts, or a mixture of gas and mains at 1 kilowatt. Dual fuel is extremely handy, especially in the winter months. If you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly, it will only use the gas as it is required. And then lastly, if we don't have any main supply, we can solely run on gas. If we now move to the last top icon, this one here is for the circulation fan for the heating. So we can run in eco or high. If you turn off both hot water and heating, you can also use the fan just to vent the motorhome as well. If we now drop to the lower icons, this first one here is for a basic timer. So if I now click on it, we can set a start time and then an end time. Once we've done that, we then just decide what we would like on within that period. So let's say we want the heating on at 18 degrees. We want hot water at 60. We do want to use dual fuel, and we'll leave the circulation fan in eco. Lastly, timer on or off. If I now activate the timer, those settings would then apply within that time period, and whenever the timer is in operation, it will begin to flash like it is at the moment. If I now return to it, I can now turn the timer back off again, and when we go back into it, we can then alter it again. Next, we just have clock set, so just click and then rotate. And then lastly, we have the settings menu. So within this, we have index, which is more for the technicians in the workshop. It just lets them know what software it's running. Brightness of this screen. Language. Full factory reset, so if there's a problem with the control panel, you can reset it. These will throw up error codes from time to time. They will usually be something relatively basic. So at the moment we're running on main supply. So if I went outside and pulled the mains lead out, it would let us know on this control panel that it's lost mains. What you'll get is a warning triangle just down here, and a series of numbers and letters will appear to let you know what the fault is. All you need to do is either look in the manual or Google it to find what the problem is. If it's something that can be easily rectified, once you've rectified it, usually the error code will automatically go out. So if you plug yourself back in, flip a trip switch, etc., it will all just fire back up. If it doesn't happen, go to the warning triangle and double click on it, and then a lot of the time it will say no error, and then it will disappear. If you've done this and still no joy, if you've still got stuff running up here, I always suggest turning them off. If still no luck, then I always suggest doing the good old-fashioned turn it off and turn it back on again, and the way you do that is just by holding this button in. If you've done that and it's still not working, I always then suggest just doing the factory reset, because sometimes that's all these control panels require. After reset, we then just have offset for the thermostat being there. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly alter it. If we now come down to the seating area just here, and I just remove the cushions, and I now lift up, we have located in here the battery charger. So this is what's charging both the leisure batteries and the vehicle battery when we're hooked up to main supply. We then have the 12 volt fuses just here. So if something's not working on 12 volt, just check to see whether or not you've blown a fuse. And then we also have the main strip switches just here. So we have the individual MCBs, the main RCD and test button just here. So if something's not working on mains, just check to see whether or not you've tripped. Also located in here is the Truma boiler. To drain the boiler down for winterization, it's all just done on this valve just here. These are automatic, so if the temperature inside the motorhome drops below about 3-4 degrees, this valve will automatically open and drop all the water out of the boiler to frost protect itself. If it does this, all that will happen is this little blue circle just here will pop out. To reset the boiler, if it's auto drained, all you need to do is just push this back in again, and it will then reclose it back up again. If it's just popping straight back out again, it's too cold in the motorhome and you will need to turn your heating on to generate some heat to allow it to reset. If you are going to manually drain it, what you need to do is make sure the water pump is turned off, and then come to this blue diamond here and twist it, and this will make the blue button pop out at the bottom, and it will then begin to drain the boiler down. I always suggest that if you are fully winterizing the motorhome, that you also go around and open up all the taps, because this will aid in releasing airlocks in the system, helping it drain down much better. When it comes to filling the boiler back up again, close all the taps, fill up the fresh water tank, turn the water pump on, and just make sure that the boiler is closed again with the button pushed in, and it will then begin to fill itself back up again. Let the pump run for a few minutes and then begin opening up the taps. They will pop and splutter a little bit as they just force the air out. Once they're running freely like this is now, close back up again, and then the system will then fully reprime itself. Tucked down behind the driver's seat is a switch. This switch is for the heater that is located in the waste tank. So if you are using the motorhome in extremely cold climate, you can pop this on to avoid any frost damage occurring to that tank. The freshwater tank does not have a heater in it, as it is an internal tank, and this is located underneath the travelling seats just here. So again, if I now just remove the cushions, as you can see, we have an inspection hole just here, so we can gain access to the fresh water tank just here by unscrewing the cap to add cleaning powders, etc. to it. If you are going to be using the two travelling seats, remove this cushion just here and then slide this section away, and then pop the cushions back in, so we end up with it looking like this. As you can see, I've used the other infill for the travel seats so they marry up, and then when we go back to the L-shaped lounge, we then use this full brown one instead. Cutlery drawer just here. We then have the hob, so we've got the electric hot plate just here. Operates when we're hooked up to main supply. Red light comes on to let you know it's in operation. And then we have the two gas rings just here. Just push in, twist and push the igniter. Beneath that we then have the oven and the grill. Push in to the left for the oven. And then to the right for the grill. Gas isolation taps just below. So we have the cooker and hob, heating and hot water, and the fridge just here. They're all in the on position, and quite frankly they can stay like that. I always say if you smell gas in the motorhome, go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. If we just go above the microwave, we have the solar panel regulator just there. We do not need to do anything with it. It will just smart charge the batteries as required. And then also up here we have the digital amplifier for the television aerial on the roof, on and off just underneath here. And then control the boost on the dial just where my finger is. And then it's just a matter of coming to the television, turning it on, and then depending on the location, just retuning it in through its menu.
Given where the jackpot counter is and how it's gone, I know what you're going to say. I need to ask nonetheless. Don't take the money of the trade.
Microwave just here, and again, like the hot plate will work when hooked up to main supply. We have power setting just here, and then time and on and off. Beneath that is the Thetford fridge freezer, on and off just here. This is an automatic model, so as long as it's on A for auto, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we're currently hooked up to main supply, let's put us onto mains with the little picture of the 2-pin plug. If I was to run outside and pulled the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas, and as soon as we start the engine, it will then automatically go over to 12 volt maintain to keep itself cold whilst on the move. You will see that the screen goes off after a few seconds. You can see it's still on by the little green light here, and if we just tap the on off button, it will re-illuminate. If I now press here, we can take it out of auto and we can manually put it onto mains. We can manually put it onto 12 volt maintain. We're going to get a red flashing light and an error code because the engine's currently not running. And I can manually put it onto gas. But auto is the easiest function to have it on. Temperature control just here, and then the unit's anti-condensation jacket on and off is just here. So anti-condensation jacket on and off. The jacket needs to be on in the warmer months. This basically stops a build-up of condensation behind the unit, which would then run down it and form a puddle of water beneath it. We then have the freezer box at the top and the fridge below. As this is a large fridge, you will find that there is a secondary travel catch just at the bottom here. We have the shower cubicle just here. Do make sure that the screens are secured for travel. And then we have the toilet just here. The bowl does swivel all about. To open to the cassette, just slide on the grey lever just here. Push to flush just on the blue button here. Do make sure the water pump is on, or otherwise it will not flush. Level indicator just here. This will let you know when the cassette needs emptying. And then close back up again just here. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure that nobody's left it open. We then have the basin. Storage just here under the fixed bed. And again we then have wardrobes at the back and storage above, and again another TV in the bedroom. This particular TV is only a mains telly, so it will only work when you're hooked up to the main supply, whereas the one at the front is 12 volt. The drop down bed is extremely easy. Firstly, do make sure that the sink glass is down, then just undo the seat belt just here, and then it's just a matter of grab and hold and then pulling down and then attaching the ladder in the 2 points just there. And as you can see, you can attach netting all up as well and then hook them onto the ceiling. Light bar on and off on the end just here. And then just push to put it back up again, and then just pop the clip back in to avoid any movement whilst travelling. The table works by releasing the lever just here. This will then allow it to slide backwards and forwards and from side to side. If we then loosen these little knobs on either side, it will then allow you to pull the table out and then flap it over to make it much larger. And we can also rotate the table by pulling down just here. To lower the table, it's just done on this lever just here. The table needs to be lowered if you are going to make the lower bed. As you can now see, I've dropped the table into position, and I've also flapped this section over just here. If I now just arrange the cushions, this is not the official way of making the bed, but I've found this more effective than how Benimar state to do it. It is a mismatch of cushions anyway. This is more of an afterthought of a bed, as you have the drop down and the one at the back, but it can be handy if you do need to sleep another person.